Okay, so get ready because in this deep dive, we are tackling a Zen koan that is as famous as it is mind-bending.
Hmm.
What is the sound of one hand clapping?
I like that one.
I don't know about you, but when I first heard that, I think I actually tried to clap with one hand.
Yeah.
Let's just say I didn't achieve sudden enlightenment or anything like that, but that feeling of, wait, what? That's kind of the point. Like, this isn't about finding the right answer. It's about shaking up how we even think in the first place.
Yeah, it's a bit like a mental puzzle. But instead of like looking for a missing piece or something, you're trying to dismantle the entire puzzle itself.
Whoa.
I
Okay.
like it.
So for those of us who haven't quite reached Zen master status, what exactly is a koan?
So in the simplest terms,
Hmm.
a koan is a question or a statement used in Zen Buddhism to kinda short-circuit our logical minds. They're designed to create a sense of doubt, confusion, forcing us to confront like our usual ways of thinking.
In this particular koan, what is the sound of one hand clapping is like, it's a classic. And it's attributed to Hakuin Kaku, who was an influential Zen master from 18th century Japan. Although I think, as with many things in history, the exact origins are a little hazy. But regardless of who first said it, this koan has been stumping people for centuries. So why? Why this koan? What is it about the sound of one hand clapping that makes it such a powerful tool?
I think it goes straight to a fundamental duality we often take for granted. Sound. We assume sound requires two things striking each other right. But by asking about the sound of one hand, it throws that assumption into question.
It's like asking, like, what do we even mean by sound anymore? Does it exist without something to create it?
Yeah. And if we can question something as basic as sound, what other assumptions might we be clinging to without even realizing it?
Okay, that's already making my head spin a little bit. So our sources mention this koan has three main purposes. First up, to break us free from dualistic thinking. What does that mean? So dualistic thinking. It's that tendency we have to see the world in opposites, good and bad, up and down, right and wrong.
Yeah.
This koan disrupts that because it makes us question the very nature of something we thought we understood. Sound. It exists because of a collision, a meeting of two things.
Oh, so it's highlighting how much we rely on those opposites to make sense of the world.
Exactly. And the second purpose of this koan is to encourage direct experience over intellectual understanding.
So like instead of us like analyzing this riddle,
Yeah.
we should try to, what, feel our way to an answer or something?
In a way, yes. You know, it's about getting out of our heads and into the immediacy of the present moment. So like instead of trying to logically solve the koan, Zen practice encourages you to just kind of sit with the question, to experience the paradox fully.
So it's like the koan is saying, don't just think about it, feel it, live inside the question.
Exactly.
And that leads us to the third purpose, facilitating a state of enlightenment. Now, I'm not saying this podcast will instantly make you enlightened, but our sources suggest this koan is a powerful tool on that path. Enlightenment, it's not really a destination that you arrive at, but like a shift in perspective. That can happen in any moment. And this koan, with its baffling simplicity, is designed to trigger that shift.
So how does it actually work? Because it still feels kind of abstract.
Well, one of our sources had a great story about this. It's about a monk who asks his master for teachings. And the master simply tells him to go wash his bowl after breakfast.
Wait, that's it. Washing dishes leads to enlightenment. What am I missing here?
Right. It's not about the action itself, but the sudden realization that can come from just like an ordinary task. Imagine you're so focused on cleaning your bowl, you're not thinking, you're just doing. And in that moment of pure, uncluttered experience, something shifts.
It's like the bowl washing becomes a metaphor for letting go of our need to overthink everything.
Precisely. The point is to break free from those ingrained thought patterns and experience reality directly, without the filter of like our preconceived notions.
I'm starting to see how this koan can be relevant to our everyday lives, even if we're not Zen monks. Think about how often we get stuck in dualistic thinking without even realizing it. We label things as good or bad, right or wrong, without questioning those categories. Or we cling to our own perspectives, thinking our way is the only way.
Exactly. The one-hand clapping koan challenges us to question those assumptions, to see if there's another way of looking at things.
It's like a reminder that our perception isn't always reality. There's always more to discover. If we're willing to look beyond our usual ways of thinking, it's like we can get really caught in those mental traps.
Yeah.
When we're, rushing to work or, scrolling through social media or making dinners. Like, our brains are on autopilot.
Yeah, and that's precisely where I think the wisdom of this koan can really
Yeah.
make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
It's a call to wake up from that autopilot, to start questioning, like, the stories we tell ourselves about the world and our place in it.
To be present in that washing the dishes kind of way.
Exactly. It's about approaching each moment with fresh eyes, with a sense of curiosity, openness.
So instead of just reacting to things on autopilot, we can like choose to pause, really see what's there.
And that shift in perspective can be incredibly powerful,
Yeah.
whether you're, facing a creative challenge or a difficult conversation
Yeah.
or just feeling stuck.
Yeah, it's like this koan gives us permission to kind of hit the reset button on our thinking, to find new solutions by like releasing those old patterns. Wow, this whole conversation has been such an eye-opener. I feel like I need to go meditate on this for a while. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the sound of one hand clapping, which we still haven't actually figured out, but maybe that's the point, we want to leave you with something to ponder. We've explored how this seemingly simple koan challenges us to kind of look beyond dualistic thinking and embrace a more direct experience of reality. But now we're curious. Where do you hear the sound of one hand clapping in your own life? What situations seem impossible or paradoxical? At first glance, what truths do you hold that might be worth questioning? Keep those questions in mind as you go about your day. You never know what kind of insights might be waiting to be uncovered. Until next time, happy contemplating.